if you will be spending more for performance, you've already harvested or your existing demand on the market. And the only step to grow farther is to create the future demand.
Welcome to the Mastering E-commerce Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Eitan Kotter, co-CEO of Vimy. In an era of rising acquisition costs and increased competition, this podcast is dedicated to helping you drive sales, engage customers, and build meaningful communities so you can turn passive visitors into active buyers. Now let's get started with the episode. Hello listeners, welcome to another episode of Mastering E-commerce Marketing. Today's guest is Yuri Budal, entrepreneur, marketeer, and the CEO of Behavio Labs. He's on a mission to revolutionize how brands grow by tapping into the power of the subconscious mind and the subconscious insights. From global giants like Heineken and Red Bull to rising local brands, over 400 brands and 100 agencies trust Behavio to make their ads and brand strategies more effective. Based in Prague and expanding into the US, Yuri blends behavioral science, neuroscience, and creativity to help brands win hearts and minds. Welcome to the stage, Yuri. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Great, Yuri. Before we get started and dive into this really exciting and interesting topic, I usually ask my guests about 3 words that matter most to them. So, I would like to get your insights.
Yeah, so definitely when it comes to entrepreneurship, I would say 3 words are understanding. That's what we do. That's what I really like to do. That's what motivates me. Then go-getter. That's really it's always better to work with people who are go-getters. It's making things easier. And the last one would be kindness, I'd say, because I think we're trying to build a company as a bunch of smart and kind people, and also it's good to know that this is totally in line with business can be. So
I always thank you for sharing that, because I always think that empathy and just motivation and being kind is like a killer combination. So I really love that he shared these words with us. So really interesting. So Yuri, what's the subconscious insight? How they differ from traditional, customer research and consumer research that almost any brand is doing these days?
Sometimes a lot. I've just seen last year there was a big study published that basically looked back into decades of marketing research in ad testing, pre-testing ads. And it turns out that if you use the old methods that are tapping into the system one, the rational brain, you're just surveying people, asking them what they think about this brand or how they after seeing this ad, are they more likely to do that or that by the brand? There's a negative correlation with market share growth. So if you sometimes those methods can be worse than nothing, especially in some areas, especially at testing, communication. If you ask people and you think that they know why they choose brands, how they decide, we often use system one, the subconscious, fast, and we're not the best ones to tell our motifs. So what behavioral science does, what behavior does, is to find methods how to tap into the subconscious or the semi-conscious or the fast thinking system one. And that often means measuring the fast associations, memory building, emotions, and how a concrete ad, for example, changes that. So we can compare a couple of ads and say, hey, this one is much more effective in building memories of the brand. And that's the main story in business, is that most of the time we're choosing brands that are easy to think of, that are coming to our mind spontaneously. And this is how you do this, by building a certain types of memories with ads, with communication. And we're basically creating tools, online tools, dashboards for companies in e-commerce and retail and others to help to make this easy, because there's quite a lot of science behind it, but at the end of the day, it's not that complicated. It's just a couple of principles, and you can learn them fast and apply them and measure them. So that's what we do.
Yeah, I mean, we talked on the prep call about Daniel Kahneman, right?
Yeah,
And like 95% of our decision is instinct,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's sometimes shocking to grasp this as a
But
human being, but our brain
yeah,
is yeah.
if you think about it, it's just optimize. The evolution was optimizing for us because the system one, it's really energy consuming. There's literally a lot of glucose being used every second we use our abstract thinking, and it takes a lot of time. And every day, as people, not just as consumers, we make a lot of decisions. Yeah, and typical supermarket, if you go inside it, there's like 45,000 of items on average. So if we were to use the rational system, I think we could starve out before we get to the cash desk just by so we needed some way to cope with that, and that's the system one, which is probabilistic. It's not always maybe the best possible like decision, but most of the time it works well for us, and that's because it's basically based on the memories. And of course there are some biases, but yes, as marketers, it's better to know them and to optimize our ads, because really the best ad for system 2 and system 1, they look very differently. And it sounds, at the first glance, it sounds like, hey, I don't want to like manipulate people, but it's really not like that. It's more like really making your brand easy to think of, which is making life easier for kind of big. If there are just products and no brands, imagine you're in in China and you don't speak Chinese. It's really hard to buy anything in the spot anything in a shelf, because you have no no brands in your mind. It's really hard to. So actually having salient brands, having like famous brands, helps you a lot to to buy groceries and do anything. Imagine how hard it is. You don't want to use search if you already have it in your brain. So basically, brand marketing is maybe a brain engine optimization. Like we have all this search engine optimization, but you don't have to optimize for search if you optimize for like brains already. Yeah. So
Yes.
in that case, I'm glad as a consumer that there are brands that I can trust, that I know well, and yeah, there's some kind of accountability if the brand is famous, because they don't have to screw up. You already know them. It's hard to like make better or worse associations. Yeah, so I like System One actually a lot as a human.
Which is eventually an accumulation of our life experiences, right?
Yeah,
And also our social experiences and parents and all. And yeah, it's it's not stored in various places, like the gut instinct as event. At the end of the day, things
in terms of marketing and e-commerce, it's really basically connecting because you have some occasions where you need things. So for example, I need a new parfum, or I need a new mobile phone, and that's immediately starts a memory process. And within a couple of like milliseconds, you basically get your memory links from that occasion to some possibly brand or solution. And that is what you are supposed to do in brand marketing, is to choose the proper occasions, live occasions, or sometimes called category entry points. It's called like when you buy it, for whom, whatever. And if you have those memories, as you said, like life experiences, that like this is a good solution and there's that benefit for the occasion. So basically what you're doing with brand marketing is linking those occasions and needs to the brand through some like well remembered things that stick in memory.
Yeah, interesting. So making decision based on instincts most of the day, and specifically when we talk about e-commerce, it's very much connected to that impulse purchase, which is just the foundation of everything on e-commerce, right? So probably it's the same thing, or not. So when companies are just doing these surveys and trying to figure out what's working, usually they are talking about the frontal part of our brains, right? Why you choose to work with us. So there's some kind of a logic explanation for that, right? Like they will never, or it needs to be a very smart questionnaire, right, to figure out what's happened, on the
Also, what I just learned like a year or two ago about a thing called 95-5 rule, which is like evidence-based rule in marketing, it should apply to any B2B and B2C like categories. And that is like just about at any given time, there's just 5% of people who are like looking for the solution right now for what you're selling. They're like in market right now.
Yeah.
And the rest, 95% of people are like possibly interested in what you're selling, but not looking for it right now. They will buy it, whether it's like car, it's a grocery, whatever, cosmetics, they'll buy it in a month or whatever. And if they're not buying right now, they don't want to watch your ads. They don't want to learn about the product because why? You have a lot of other things to do. So, and that is that's explains a lot why you need brand marketing, because basically performance marketing is only best for the 5% of people who are actively looking for it. And then they would like to click, they would like to learn about the features, about how many megapixels you have for the phone or whatever details. But if you only use this performance like marketing, sooner or later as a like e-commerce challenger, you will hit a thing that even got a name. It's called performance plateau. And that we've seen this happening to really dozens of our clients. Like, for example, online therapy, Hedepi, I don't know, they now are maybe nine states, Finland, Greece, Czech Republic, and throughout Europe. And they were really fast growing at the beginning, basically using search ads and other for people who were looking for therapy online. But there's just a couple of people who are actually looking for the for stuff in market. And then so they started fast, and then their growth stalled, and for a year they weren't growing at all. They were growing just by expansion of the current customers, but not by like new business. And we got this answer for them, basically, hey, this is typical performance plateau. So your problem here is that if you will be spending more for performance, you've already harvested or your existing demand on the market. And the only step to grow farther is to like create the future demand by the people who are not right on the market. And that's where brand marketing, which is not the aim, is not to get clicks, immediate conversions, but the changes in memory that would later, in 2 weeks, in 6 months, make the people more likely to think about you, buy you in the first place. And the good story, the good news is that this is already measurable quite well. So there's already like brand marketing is also performance a little bit, because it can be much worse or much better in how good it is in building the brand and making the people more likely to choose you. So this Hedepi, they basically decided to, even though they had quite a small budget, to run their first small TV campaign, and they pre-tested the ad a couple of times, so they make it really effective in terms of what should be in the best performing brand ad. And we measured the mind share or brand, let's say, for them, how all these like system one fast associations, if you measure it the proper way, you can see very, very fast in the brand tracking the growth of awareness in the population and the right associations. And at the same time, their sales starting growing for the first time after a year.
Wow.
And basically they saw a positive ROI for brand campaign in half a year. So they got all the money back invested in the new business in 6 months. So it's really like brand growth is sales growth. And now it's getting more and more like measurable. You just have to think not in the 3 months, buckets, because typically there's like, it's different in every category, but in most of the e-commerce, it could be like 6 to 12 months when you're getting your money back. But you're definitely getting that. It's an investment. It's not like pouring money out the brand marketing.
Interesting. So when you try to figure out what's happening in the consumer's mind, specifically for a typical brand that you work with, and how do you figure out behavioral data or these complex neuroscience models? How do you understand, what's going on that level?
As I've said, it's basically the principle is mapping and predicting the memory building. Yeah. So because the system one is really our experience, that is the links between neurons and our memory. So that memory is linked to that one. And what the best, the strongest brands have is a fastest, strong link between the occasion and the brand. So you need to get three things right in when you want to grow fast, basically, or your brand. First, you really need to understand what are the unmet needs. So for example, I'm just in Amsterdam right now because we had an e-commerce event here today, and we were presenting a use case that's not our client, but we were measuring this situation where you have Booking is Booking.com, global brand, but originally from Netherlands, so really strong brand here. Then you have Airbnb, the global brand, and then they have a Mikazu, a small like competitor here, and they're trying to take on these big brands like David against Goliath. And so the first thing you need to, and we were showing the data that they're not doing this like very in the best way. They are not growing that fast because first, they didn't choose the best positioning. They're saying that, hey, we have no like booking fees. So if you measure these needs, they're not as important because the people want to have it affordable overall, but whether there are booking fees, they don't care. They just need the biggest price. So the whole need is not that important. So first you want to map the needs connected to your category. So it can be whether this is great for kids or vacation, combination of different benefits. And you can map how easily in those occasions and needs, how easily spontaneously people are able to type down a brand that is solving this for them. And then if you say, so dear respondents, type down the brand that is great for vacation with kids. And in some of the needs, there's a lot of brands easily popping up, or spontaneous is one measurement type, or you can use implicit testing, which is basically you have prompted associations, but you measure how fast are people reacting to that. So it's not whether yes or no, but how fast. Because if they're thinking, okay, maybe yes, and then they click yes after 5 seconds, that's not what's in the memory then. So that's how you get to those questions. So you basically, you can map this rental booking needs, and you'll see that some of them are well met by the best brands, but some of them maybe are not. So it's always better to challenge them on those that are not as well served by the big brands. And then you can start building the link. How you do that? With ads that do three things. There's a basic neuroscience principle, neurons that fire together, wire together. That's how we learn everything and words and whatever. So in the ad, you imagine, it's easy to imagine that on a digital video or TV ad. So we have 15, 30 seconds of video, So you want to show the need and the brand together so that the link is created. So you have the logo or some mascot or whatever, so that the more seconds of the 30 second spot is with the logo, or the better. And then you want to also show what you're good for. So not the detailed benefits, but really the situations of the people. Okay, so if I'm in that situation in my life, I should think about that. Yeah. So for example, if you have therapy, you're showing the person who is not happy on the couch, just lying down and whatever, they don't feel well. If you have Mikazu, booking, you can show vacation houses or whatever. So things like that. So you really show it one by one. The problem is, and that's why you need the third important part, the emotional marketing. That's why it's so needed, because there's so many ads, so many things we see every day. So we don't pay attention anymore to what we're seeing, especially in online marketing. So, and our brains are wired to pay attention to what is, where we have strong emotional reactions, we immediately pay attention to. So we were scared or laughing. We first pay attention to it, and then we remember it much more deeply. So that's the part which is so much needed in a good brand ad. So you have the brand, you have the need, you want to connect them, and you have the emotion that serves like an amplifier, because people will keep watching your ad. They won't tune out. Most of the ads right now are not seen until the end. So the typical ads, so you're having some like intro, some build up and climax. Oh, there's the revelation, and then actually the branding doesn't work at all because no one is watching you until the end. And the 1 second of logo, especially when you're a small brand, doesn't do anything.
Doesn't make
So the best brands, best ads for branding are those who, the companies who are like thinking beyond logo, and they're systematically building some unique memories like sound, like a mascot or visual colors, whatever, so that you can use more types of memories to really be sure that this is the brand. So I have some examples like local ones, but from global. Actually, there's a lot of potential in e-commerce because this is something e-commerce can learn a lot from, like FMCG brands who are better in this. It works the same. So you really want to have some color coding patterns, really sounds. That's often like undervalued, the role of a unique sound. So people are like reminded about your brand. And so this like three things, emotion, needs, and branding together.
Yeah.
When they are really well done, the ad can be 10 times more, like we had 11 times more effective ad in A/B testing. And what does it mean? It means that if you spend $1 million for one creative and for the other one, the other would make 11 times more like brand awareness throughout the population, because the memories are much more effectively like built. And most of brand ads have very low effect because they're badly branded. They don't use emotion a lot, or they're not showing what you're good for. And yeah, so there's so much of potential to how to boost your budget.
Amazing. And there's also importance for repetition, right? For creating those new neural pathways. I mean, you watch it again and again and again and just amplify.
Yeah, definitely. There's some like ratio that like 3 times, you don't have to repeat that same campaign like for 5 times, because it's still getting better, but not as so. Definitely 3 times exposure during a campaign is better. And then yes, you have to reinforce that because the brand memories are fading very fast. So if you're a really established brand and you completely stop TV advertising or all brand advertising, in 5 years you will get half of your awareness and whatever. But if you're a small brand, you're getting half in a year. Yeah. So if you really can't stop doing this because this is fading. And also consistency is important. And branding that every new campaign has to be completely different idea. No, that's making ads less effective. It's better to choose a couple of and like concepts and really repeat your distinctive brand assets the same way. Coca-Cola, they had the same logo for over 100 years and the color and whatever, and that allows them to just show the color, play with the logo, and do a lot of emotional like stuff with that because they were consistent. So that's one of the biggest mistakes in advertising effectiveness, is starting from scratch.
Yes. So I'd love you to elaborate on this distinctive brand codes, right? Can you please explain what do you mean by that, and maybe give some?
So yeah, brand codes, or sometimes called distinctive brand asset, is basically anything that is sticking well in the memory and that is uniquely connected to your brand. So it can be a color, but colors are hardly unique now. So if you're like Coca-Cola, so it cannot be just a color, but can be brand character, mascot. It can be George Clooney for Nespresso if you use him consistently enough. But as you know, so these are pretty like expensive brand codes. So mascots are cheaper, definitely. You don't have to pay them monthly wage. And then it can be really sounds. So imagine some jingles really, they sound old fashioned, or it's like the 1990s, the jingle. No, that's really one of the most effective things, because imagine people, there's a commercial break, they go into the kitchen but they just hear the branding and it's still, refreshing the brand memory. So definitely anyone who is using radio ads, video ads, TV ads should have some unique branding, like sonic branding at some pairs. It can be a voice, a distinctive voice. Yoda in the Star Wars, he's just speaking strangely with like how he puts words one after each after another. That is a way how to be distinct, for example. So really, the first you have to be. It's more important to be different than your competitors than to be aligned with the category that much. So if you're educational brand, you shouldn't have an owl because everyone has an owl, and Duolingo will always win over you. So it's better to have something completely different because you measured once an ad for a Red Bull competitor, an energy drink, and they had some sport there, like extreme sport. And even though they had a logo, people thought that it's for Red Bull. Yes, so much connected to it. Yeah, really. So the first thing you have to do is, or maybe can we link something to the episode because we have a great card for that. So if the listeners would like to, we have the brand cards. That is basically 40 ways how can you be different other than logo. So there's 40 categories, and we have examples for that. So really, first thing you do with the cards is to take these that your competitors have and you don't use them and you find something else. And so that's brand codes. And you want to use them consistently. And if you Google something like McDonald's creative ads or whatever, or Coca-Cola creative ads, you can see how much playfulness you can, how much creativity you can still have if you have the consistent brand codes. It's not restricting you. It's actually like allowing the creativity. So it's better than coming with a new concept. It's to just play with what you already got.
Yes.
And use it for your messages. Yeah. And that's totally the most effective ads. There's data on that the ads that are the highest performant ads use brand codes much more. And especially don't forget about sonic branding. Don't have just a logo.
Yes, great. So we will share this resource in the show notes. And that's a great summary, right? I mean, it's better to be different than to be better.
Yeah.
So that's very important. So Yuri, how people can find you and Behavioral Labs?
It's behaviorallabs.com. There's a lot of other, like you can download the cards there as well, or other useful content like checklists for ads, for different types of ads. We're just uploading it these days there. Definitely, we're happy to talk on. There's easy way to book a demo and just to talk about what your problem is and how we can possibly help you. Doesn't have to be about the product detailing. So yeah, anyone who's interested in brand growth, it's like this applies to B2B as well, but definitely what we do mainly is consumer companies, e-commerce, retail, and food and beverages. That's where there's a best potential to grow brand.
Great, Yuri, super interesting. Wish you all the best. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you. Have a great day, and thanks so much for having me.
Thank you for listening to the end of this episode. If you found this episode valuable, please subscribe so you won't miss any of our future content. Explore Vimi, the video commerce platform that includes live shopping, shoppable video, and social commerce capabilities. Visit Vimi at www.vimi.net. We appreciate your support and look forward for bringing you more valuable insight in our next episode.